Hi everyone, I'm going to present our article titled From Mute English to Meaningful Communication, Cultivating ESL Learners' Skills in a Globalized World. The authors are Chen Hao, Sun Chen, and Dr. Rihanna. I'm Sun Chen. There are mainly 5 parts in our presentation: current issues, theoretical frameworks amidst blazing culturally relevant materials, where we're going to state the advantages and drawbacks of culturally relevant materials. The next is challenges and responses in practice. Finally, is the future directions of education model restructuring. Here comes from the first part, current issues. Many students, especially in traditional educational settings like China, score high on standardized tests but struggle to communicate effectively in real-world settings. ESL instruction there remains predominantly test-oriented, focusing on grammatically accuracy and memorization rather than real-life communication skills. However, globalization has significantly raised the demand for English proficiency, requiring learners to navigate complex across cultural interactions for academic study requirements and international workplace competitiveness. The, this necessitates a shift from a mute English approach where learners can pass exams but struggle to communicate to a practical application centered model that prioritizes the fluency and confidence. Next, 2 case series were used to frame this study. The first is Piaget cognitive development theory. This theory explains the advantages of adolescent cognitive maturity and the importance of a critical period. Another theoretical framework is questions input hypothesis. Question emphasizes the necessity of a cultural context. Language and culture are intertwined. What's more, his I+1 principles claims that learners benefit from slightly more challenging, comprehensible input than their current level. By applying this framework, this study evaluates how ESL instruction can move from an exam-centered approach to one that fostered practical language use. Now we move to part 3, culturally relevant materials. It's have their advantages and drawbacks. First, about the advantages. The familiar context provided by such materials can significantly reduce students' anxiety. When learners recognize aspects of their own culture in the content, they feel more comfortable and secure, which helps lower their affective filter and improves their willingness to participate. Relatable content can also boost the motivation because the topic resonates with learners' personal experience. They become more engaged and interested in the lesson, ultimately enhancing their overall learning outcomes. Local multiple reliance can limit students' exposure to broader cultural diversity. If our materials focus exclusively on local context, learners may miss out on understanding the global dimensions of the language they are studying. Furthermore, an emphasis on local culture may constrain students' cultural perspectives and their ability to adapt. When learners see only one cultural viewpoint, it can be more challenging for them to appreciate or integrate new ideas and experience from other cultures. Uh, it then highlights the key values of target language culture materials. We are looking at four key values that target language cultural materials bring to the classroom. Target language material provide a real-life context and idiomatic expressions, helping bright classroom learning with how language is actually used in everyday situations. The second aspect of culturally awareness. By engaging learners with literary works, historical artifacts, and cultural norms, target language materials expand students' understanding of the societies where the language is spoken. Next comes out the interest and motivation. Incorporating authentic resources from the target culture can spark students' enthusiasm for learning. The novelty and enjoyment they experience can lead to a higher motivation and better retention. If the learning materials are over reliance on target language culture, they have several threats. A cultural hegemony phenomenon can rise. This phenomenon highlights how the dominance of Western culture's values in educational materials can erode local cultural confidence. This imbalance not only narrows cultural diversity but also leads to cultural identity confusion. While in ESL education settings, some primary challenges remains. The first is lack of cultural comprehension. Without without cross-cultural analysis, students struggle with intercultural awareness. The second is cramming-based education. Passive learning habit is deep understanding and critical thinking. Third is homogeneous material presentation. ESL textbook often fail to encourage reflection on the cultural differences. So, to combat these challenges, educators should implement cultural comparative teaching, illicitly comparing native and target language cultures. Second is enhancing cultural confidence, encouraging students to appreciate and articulate their cultural heritage. The third is fostering multicultural perspective. Educators should preparing students for meaningful engagement in global context. To better integrate English education in global needs, we propose the first, incorporating diverse global and local cultural elements into lessons. Second, establish a comprehensive teaching assessment system to develop critical thinking skills, cultural communication skills, and achieve higher exam grades. The third is teachers also play a crucial role in implementing these strategies. Teacher training should focus on the activity design skills, evaluating competence, cultural sensitivity, material selection. Okay, thanks everyone who watched this presentation. That's all we want to present. Thank you. Thanks for listening.